What is going on, you guys? So today I want to make a super quick video for you talking about why you don't believe in yourself. Now, if you do believe in yourself, maybe this will just be a good reminder video. But what I've noticed within myself and then others I've spoken to, basically, is that the obstacle is always you, right? So you probably heard the terms like mental blocks, limiting beliefs. It's all in your head. And that doesn't mean you're crazy, by the way. It just means that you're creating the obstacle mentally, right? Mental block. So there's a couple of reasons for this, right? So you don't believe in yourself, and believing in yourself or trusting yourself creates confidence. That's what true confidence is, right? And that comes from internally, not externally. Like other people, right? They feel like, once they have the attraction of somebody or the attention of somebody or this job or that external thing, then they can be confident. But here's the thing, right? That's all external, and it's the same thing as love, right? Like people say, like, you have to love yourself first. And I know it's so cheesy and people don't like hearing it, but you have to love yourself first before you can love someone else. And it's actually really true. Like, you have to have this internal confidence first, right? And the way that you have that, we were just talking about trusting yourself, right? So there's a lot of ways that people go about life, and basically they create situations that prove to them that they don't trust themselves, at least at the moment, right? So you can actually change this. Now, for example, like a really common one would be consistency about something. So let's say you have this future version of yourself, right? How you want to act, who you want to be, what does that life look like? Now, basically, as soon as you're clear on what that is, like your vision, basically, you can write down how that person acts. How do they behave, right? And now you can see the line probably. How do they behave? How do they act? Who is that person? And do you need to actually wait to be that person, or can you start embodying or acting out some of those traits now? Because that way you act like a magnet to attract that future self sooner, because you just start doing those things that they do, right? And you're going to be a lot happier with yourself because of that, which in turn will build confidence, right? And the consistency on all these little things, right? Like, let's say the future self is really good about, being disciplined with their business, right? So maybe right now you work like a 9 to 5 or some kind of job, right? So you can basically incorporate working on your business a little bit every day, after work or before work, whatever works for you, right? Let's fitting it in your day rather than going home and scrolling on social media, being unproductive, and like watching Netflix or whatever else, right? You could do all these other habits, or you could work on building towards that goal, because you're going to make it harder to get to, and you're going to be farther away or in the same spot, or maybe even farther than that, right? If you keep putting it off, right? So that's why this is important, because you're not going to trust yourself if you keep putting that off and keep not doing that task, the thing that you know you need to do deep down. Even if you pretend like you don't know, we all know, like, the little things that we need to be doing. Or even maybe if we're not fully sure about something, we know some people, some directions we can go to reach out and learn, like ask others for help so we can find the way, right? So, as a little bit of a tangent there on why you have to do that thing, right? You're going to be consistent, whether it's like working towards your business or whatever that goal is. Embodying the behaviors and traits that you need to attract a really high quality partner or fulfilling relationship. Like maybe you can start a family one day, right? Embodying that person instead of embodying someone who just, you're feeding like a short-term relationship cycle, right? So you could feed one or the other, right? Which one do you want to feed? Which one do you want to be good at? Short-term relationships or long-term relationships? Unhealthy relationships or healthy relationships? And I'm not saying, I guess short term you could have healthy boundaries and relationships around that if that's something you really want. right? And that's just assuming that both parties actually consent to that, right? Because I know there's a lot of people who get into relationships and like one wants something long term and the other one only wants something short term or casual. So that's not necessarily healthy there. And of course, feelings can change over time, all that stuff. But just to keep it simple, right? Which one do you want to feed? So you can actually avoid the short term stuff, the casual stuff, the misunderstandings if you communicate properly and seek, not necessarily seek, but you act as the higher quality version. You put yourself in situations where you can meet these higher quality people, and it'll be much easier for you to attract that kind of relationship, basically. Now, a super easy example for all this is the one I was going to do first. Now it's going to be last, but basically is like your fitness, right? Look, like if you're not showing up to the gym, if you're not exercising consistently, you're going to feel worse. We all feel better, even if we don't want to go to the gym one day after we do it. It's just like doing a big project, a big task, that thing you're procrastinating that you're putting off, like we talked about earlier, your business, whatever else it is, right? If you keep putting that off, you're not eating the frog, right? Which is the thing you don't want to eat. Doing the big task first, so everything's easier after that, right? So, if you keep not doing that, number one, it's going to be looming over your head. It's going to give you a little bit of stress, anxiety, like, I keep not doing that thing, and you know it. Even, no matter what you tell yourself, tell other people, you're going to know it inside, right? So, that's for, like, the projects, the work, the business, like, that kind of stuff. But even with fitness, right? Like, your body is always going to feel better when you're eating right, consistently, and you're working out, getting some kind of exercise and movement consistently. And you might, maybe if you're not doing that enough right now, you might not notice it. Because working out, it makes you feel weak to make you stronger, right? So if you're consistent doing that, you're always going to get stronger. You're going to be more confident. It's a great discipline builder, right? That's like a gateway, essentially, to doing well in all these other areas that we talked about. And you're going to believe in yourself. And you can see how this all ties in, right? So then you'll be confident in yourself. Now, all of that stuff aside, right? Because these are great ways to start trusting yourself, start believing in yourself. Because if you don't do those things, it's no wonder that you don't trust yourself, right? So what I would recommend is starting to improve those little habits to get in that direction, right? 1% better every day, 1% better, because that's going to snowball and compound to the best version of you, right? It's going to come a lot faster if you keep doing that. Now, another important point here is you have to get to the point where you care about other people, but you don't care what they think, right? Imagine, the best way I can put this, right, is imagine you get to the end of your life and there's a bunch of things that you really wanted to do and you didn't do because you cared what other people thought. We're all going to be gone at some point, right? That's just the truth. And are you really going to hold yourself back and not live your best, most authentic, genuine, awesome life? Go out, try things, fail, succeed faster because you're putting yourself out there, have amazing relationships, maybe explore the world, right? Start a YouTube channel, start a brand, a business, like all these things that you could have done. You're gonna sit at the end of your life and be like, I wish I did that. I should have done that. You have two choices, right? It's like you could be the person who says I wish, or you could be the person who says, I'm so glad that I did that. I'm so glad that I tried those things. Even if some of them didn't work out, like I figured out my way faster because I tried those things and I stopped caring what other people thought. I just moved forward. I plowed forward anyways. Because at a certain point, regardless, you're going to realize that it didn't matter what they thought. Again, care about people, not about their opinions or what they think, right? Maybe a little important side point to that is if you have people who are in the positions that you want to be, I would recommend always being a student, right? Like always being a student of life. So realizing that you're never going to know everything. There's always something to learn, and being coachable or open to positive feedback or constructive feedback, right? Like a great example here would be a friend notices you messing up, right? Let's say there's two friends that notice you messing up on something. One friend doesn't tell you and just says really nice things, sort of circles around the issue, is very fluffy, right? So they don't want to like hurt your feelings, or they're like walking on eggshells because they don't want to tell you the truth. When the love really comes from the other friend who, they don't necessarily want to tell you, but they're your friend or your family or your partner, right? And they're just real with you. They're like, hey, like, I love you, man. Like, this is what you're doing wrong, right? Like, or you're doing really well in these things, and I notice that this is something that you can improve, or this is something like what's going on here, like, I know that you don't want to act that way. Like what's up, right? And it's tough love, basically, right? And that's the real one. That's the real friend, like the best friend, the really good person. You want to keep them around because they're looking out for your best interest, even if it's something that's hard for you to hear. And this is an important point, right? Because that's a side tangent to, because you can't always care about what other people think, but you need to be able to recognize the difference between, everybody's got an opinion or an armpit, right? Versus someone who's actually trying to help you. Now, the part about the caring too much about what other people think is because if you do that, again, right, imagine getting to the end of your life and being like, I let all these people's limiting beliefs and their limiting ideas, their judgments, their negativity, because they have to be in a not so great place to be judging and negative towards you anyways, and they say those negative or the limiting beliefs, things like that, because they don't believe that they could do it. So they project that onto you. And so you let that hold you back. Are you really going to let that hold you back from living that life that you really want? I recommend that you don't. And I'm sure you get the point now. But one last note on that. I know I've said this before, but think about that from other people, like the judgment, the limiting beliefs, negative comments, things like that. They must not be in the best place to be doing something like that, first of all, and they don't believe that they can do it. So they project that onto you, and just realize that it's not really coming from a positive place, right? Because positive would want to help you, encourage you, help you get to the right direction, get where you want to go, because you'll see what you want to do, right? And, again, positivity comes from a good place. The negativity never comes from above, right? So just remember to be careful with that stuff, right? These would be the reasons why you wouldn't trust yourself. You're listening too much to others, right? You have to develop this self-belief. Actually go for what you want. Have amazing relationships. People around you will hold you accountable, lift you up. In this way, you will no longer have any obstacles, any people, any of your own limiting beliefs, and you're going to live that most authentic, genuine, best version of your life. Remember, the obstacle is you. And so this is how you get to the point where you build this self-belief and this full confidence so you can live that awesome life. Awesome, guys. Well, I hope that this video was helpful for you in some way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. You got this, bro.